the one thing that I'd like you to ask, and I'd like you to ask any of these people, is how do you have a black conservative in a colorblind society? Somebody explain that to me. And I'd like a top black conservative to address that. I guess the shiny little label of being a good Negro will wash away in a colorblind society, which is one of the reasons why you have to be so race obsessed and call yourself a black conservative. Because if you simply talked about fiscal conservation and conservative policies like border control, I think it would be very obvious to people that you are a conservative or somebody that leans to the right. So why concentrate on black? It's nothing but something negative to them people anyway. Because, I mean, these people have been conservative all their lives, right? They went to the school in the suburbs. They hang around the people that they hang around. And then when they get onto social media, they became black. They went from being a conservative to becoming black. I've known these people forever, like Carlton Banks, as a conservative. But then when they get on YouTube, they become a black conservative perspective. They got more in common with Kamala Harris than they think.
So we're meeting voters exactly where they are, going to the communities, reaching out to black men. Black men are a very important target this election cycle. So we're going to them. We're going to barbershops. We're going to the communities. We're having conversations on that.
Unarmed black men are also a target, very important target by the police as well. What do you plan on doing about that? Now, I'll tell you what, I would be more than happy to go to one of these black conservative functions. And I want to go there and I want to ask them, what are you doing to make sure that black men get the same things as white men are getting in society? Now, you know what's funny? They'll tell me, stop concentrating on color. Then I'm going to ask them, does the sign in front of this room say black conservative meeting? I didn't write the sign. I'm supposed to stop concentrating on color? The reason why I asked, are you guys going to get us what these other men are getting, is because it's only black conservatives here. There's nobody else. And I didn't send out the invitations either. And this is one of the reasons why it's a thin line between a pro-black and a coon. You're going to invite me to the black conservative shindig, and then when I get there and say, is this where the black conservatives are, tell me to stop being so race obsessed. Hey, man, that's what I put in the navigation because that's what was on the invitation. You know what I'm saying? So what we doing here?
Economics. We're having conversations comparing 2019 Donald Trump and 2019 Kamala Harris. When you put both together, it's not a good thing for Kamala.
Congressman Donalds, you're in Florida, and that's a place that shows there is no monolithic group of people that vote one way or the other. You've got elderly people in Florida.
That's not true. There is a monolithic group, and I hate to say it, and everybody's going to be mad, and a few people that newly subscribed are going to unsubscribe, but y'all will deal with it. Y'all will be back. There is a monolithic group of people. When people vote at 90%, those are Lysol ratios. If you bought a antibacterial that killed bacteria at the same rate that black people vote for Democrats, you would buy that antibacterial wipe, wouldn't you? Wouldn't you? Why? Because it has a high percentage of doing what it's expected to do, which is kill bacteria. Black people have a high percentage of doing what studies show black people do. Vote Democrat. 91% is beyond a monolith. 91% is a diamond pyramid. So now this is Fox where Fox literally talks at black people and tells black people to not be Democrats and not be liberals. The Fox white people are the ones that started the talking point of the quote unquote Democrat plantation because their grandparents owned it. You know what I'm saying? But then, right, they're also saying you're all monoliths. You all commit 13% of the percent. We're 13% of the population and commit 55% of the crime. And then they get two conservatives who apparently we need to be told that they're black because we can't see that because I guess they just been identifying so hard as conservative that they just became black to then explain how we're not all a monolith. When we're explaining against mathematics because mathematics says that we are a monolith. So again, these are the people allegedly of truth and reality, literally talking against reality. Right. Shout out to AB. They were conservative, right? Because a conservative movement is something like we are the people, right? We the people. But something happened, and then you go from conservatives to libertarians, and then there's this group like Candace Owens and these people, Thomas Sowell and Larry Elder, and they just became black in a colorblind society that they say doesn't exist, as they call themselves black. See how that works? See how that works?
You've got South Florida, which is largely Hispanic. You've got every race and ethnicity there. People move there from all over the country. But there's been a red wave in Florida. The politics in Florida have moved to the right as people have moved to Florida. What can this bus tour do and this this coalition do to show that there isn't some monolithic ideology among black Americans or urban Americans or any group of Americans?
Well, according to Fox is, again, debunking their own talking points because for years they have came with the argument that criminality and degeneracy are the monolithic ideology amongst black people. These are talking points that come specifically from the belly of Fox News. So now all of a sudden you got some conservatives that just one day woke up and decided to turn black conservatives, and they're going to somehow debunk all your years of news media work. So again, what did I say in the last video? In the last video, I said, I don't think that Fox News is really the place that's really qualified to be calling out flip-flopping, because once we start putting a microscope on what goes on at Fox News, their card house will fall possibly faster than Kamala Harris. And look what's happening. They're failing.
What it does is going to bring key information to voters who frankly are craving it. Everybody knows what Donald Trump wants to do. People remember the Donald Trump economy, but they're hiding Kamala Harris from the voters. Obviously, the interview the other day did not go well for her and for her team.
Now, this part here, what he's saying, I actually agree with. Starting here, I agree with what he's saying. I do agree that Kamala Harris is absolutely strategically being kept away from and being hidden from the voters. And again, that's risk management. If you keep her away and if you keep her idle, she's not able to do anything to create further exposure because she's already like 75% exposed. If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down.
From the voters. Obviously, the interview the other day did not go well for her and for her team, so they hide her. So we got to take this information straight to people. How was the economy when Donald Trump was president? Significantly better economy. Were our cities secure? Was our country secure at the southern border? Absolutely. And like we talked at the top of this interview, what was happening around the globe? Were there conflicts all over the place when Donald Trump was president? No, there was not. There was peace.
Yes, there was conflicts. There was absolutely conflicts. Now, there might not have been any official wars. We had Kim Jong-un just deciding to, test nuclear missiles all the time. If I'm not mistaken, there was the assassination attempt on Nicolas Maduro. There was a successful assassination attempt on, if I'm not mistaken, a nuclear scientist in Iran and a Saudi Arabian journalist. There was the siren bombing that took place in Syria. It was lit. There was all kind of stuff going on. Matter of fact, the world is lit almost all the time. People just don't know about it because they don't really talk about geopolitics in the United States, because for the most part, geopolitics is like critical race theory. If you're an American, more than likely you're responsible for and benefit from geopolitical turmoil. So America doesn't like to hear about it. So instead of talking about it, we'll just talk about something else. Same way white people don't like to talk about racism because their grandparents are the ones who created their mountains of wealth based on racism. So because that makes us butthurt, we'll talk about something else. Domestic policy of racism, foreign policy of geopolitical turmoil. These are how America built its empire. Who wants to sit there and listen to that all day? I would, because I'd make videos and talk about it. And I'd talk to and interview some of them people from them places. But most people don't really want to hear that because they want to live in a delusional world. That's why it's called the American dream. It's called an American dream because at some point you will wake up from it, whether you want to or not.
Through strength around the world. That message has to go through everywhere. The BCF bus tour is going to help accommodate that mission.
Deontay, Congressman Donalds, thank you both. It's amazing to believe that issues that are affecting Americans could be important to all Americans. And I think you all are spreading.
Actually, I don't think that that's interesting at all. I believe that there's a very small standard deviation between each human group and that we're not very different. It's actually legacy white European scientists. You, the guy in the middle, based on the way that the group of people that you come from has treated the majority of people that they come in contact with, and all of the writings of people like Charles Darwin in the book that's called Downfall of Man and the Bell Curve, it's actually you all who culturally believe that. So this is, again, something that we see a lot of people do. In this instance, we're seeing this individual do it here, a projection of negativity of his own traits onto other people to attempt to normalize himself and not seem as bad.